Hi there, my name is Martin Grayson and welcome to this Blend Tips video for the UX thread. In this video I want to do a quick introduction to using behaviors in Expression Blend. I'm going to do a couple more videos a bit later which will get a bit deeper into behaviors and especially around how to build behaviors, but in this case I want to do a little intro to how to get using them in Expression Blend. Now, I still see behaviors as one of the slightly undiscovered but really great features about Expression Blend. And if you haven't heard of behaviors before, what they are is they're little bits of interactivity or little bits of functionality that you can add to your application that would commonly need a developer to write some code, but with behaviors you don't need any code to be written. It becomes a thing that you can drag and drop onto your artboard and kind of help your application light up. So I'm going to talk about where you can find behaviors in Expression Blend. We're going to look at a couple of the most commonly used behaviors and how they work in Expression Blend, and then we're going to finish up by actually going to the Expression Gallery and showing you how to download behaviors from there, download behaviors that members of the community have built and shared, and then you can start using them in your own projects. So let's kick off. Whereabouts are the behaviors? If you go to your Assets palette in Blend, you'll see there'll be an option in the list for behaviors. If you select behaviors, you'll see a number in here now. By default, Expression Blend has 13 behaviors, and actually they address quite a large number of the scenarios. The ones I want to show today, I want to show 4 behaviors that come in Blend, and then we'll look at another one from the gallery. But I want to look at the control storyboard actions. This is a behavior that allows you to start, pause, resume, and stop storyboards. The fluid move behaviors, you can add some animation to your panels. The go to state action, so this allows you to trigger various visual states in controls using this one, and the other one is the mouse drag element behavior. So this actually allows you to drag elements around the screen. But first up, let's take a look at the control storyboard action. So I need to quickly create a storyboard, if you bear with me. So I'm just going to add an ellipse to the screen and we'll fill it blue. I'm going to add a new storyboard. And what I'm going to say is after a second I'd just like this ellipse to move over to this side, and I'm also going to auto reverse and have it loop forever. So now I kind of have this motion which will take it right then left. Alright, so at this point if I wanted to start off the storyboard, I guess I'd add a button, and then I'd need to start writing a bit of code to start that storyboard when the button's clicked. However, the behavior, that's not necessary. So, well, actually, first of all, I'm just going to label the button here so it says play. Now, to have this button kick off the storyboard, all I need to do is get the control storyboard action, drag it onto the button itself. We'll see it appear over here in the objects and timeline. And we can see over on the right hand side, we can see the properties. So, what it's saying is the event, this is an event behavior, so it's using an event trigger. We're going to see another type of trigger in a minute. It was saying when the button is clicked, if you drop this down you can see the other events, so mouse enter, leave, loaded, etc. But in this case when the button's clicked we want to play, and I can select any storyboard that I have on this scene, so in this case storyboard 1. Push F5 and run. And then clicking play, as you can see, will kick off that storyboard. I might want to add another button to control the storyboard too, so let's add one that stops it. Let's label this button stop. And again, what I want to do is drag behavior onto here, so the control storyboard action, let's drag it onto the stop button. And this time, when it's clicked, I want to stop storyboard 1. So, we can play. And if we click stop, the animation will stop and it will be returned back to the very first starting point of the animation. So play and stop. One more part of this storyboard, of this behavior I'd like to show is the fact that you can also have one button to pause and resume storyboard too. So if I select the first button and the action, the behavior that I added, instead of selecting play, I'm going to select toggle play pause. So what this will mean is I can now play, pause and resume the storyboard all from one button. So if I hit play, the animation will start. If I click again, it'll pause, so hold it exactly where it was, and if I click play one more time it'll resume from exactly where it was. So play and resume, and of course stop or jump it back to the beginning. And you can imagine that there's lots more you can do with this. Alright, so that's the control storyboard behavior. Next one that we'll take a look at is the fluid move behavior. So first of all, I'm just going to take off the fixed size of this user control. And I'm going to add a wrap panel. So what the fluid move behavior does is it allows you to, when you put stuff in a panel and then resize the panel, you can see those things moving in the panel, but generally they snap into position. With a fluid move behavior, you can actually animate, or using the fluid move behavior, you'll see those things animate in the panel. I think it's best to show you what I mean. So with my wrap panel, I'm going to add a rectangle. Let's just add a little bit of margin on the right and bottom sides. And I'm going to add a few of these in here. So if I push F5, and I'll show you what normally happens with the wrap panel. So here it is, all nicely laid out. And as I resize my window, we can see those rectangles laying out, but they're kind of snapping into position. Using the fluid move behavior is really easy. You just grab it, drag it on to your panel. See, it's now sitting underneath wrap panel. And what I want to do is I want to apply it to the children. Let's push F5 again. And now what we'll see is those shapes. They're going to actually animate in the panel. So I get a much more kind of dynamic and natural feeling UI. Actually, it's not that natural for the minute. The animation's a bit clunky. So fortunately, they've given us some animation properties too. So I'm going to bring this down to ½ second of the duration, and I'm going to use a bit of easing on both the X and Y. So let's use a Quartic ease in out for both X and Y. Here we go. And now we can see actually it's a lot more snappy, and we can see a bit of acceleration and deceleration in there too. Pretty cool. Okay, so the next one I'd like to show is the go to state action. So this is a really handy one which allows you to change a visual state based on an event, so or something else. But I'll show you that in a second. So here's my before I start the video, I just created a weather control. And what this has, it's got a couple of visual states. So I've got a sunny visual state. If I play the storyboard, we can see we get a little animation which shows a sun. And I've got a cloudy visual state. And that just kind of brings in some clouds. So it's kind of like a weather display control. I'm going to add that to my page. Like so. And first up, I'm going to use a couple of buttons to switch between these states. So I'm going to add one button for sunny and one button, one button for cloudy. Now from assets, I'm going to drag the go to state action on to here. And what I want to say is on the sunny button, when it's clicked, I'm going to actually change the target here, so I can use this to select my weather control, and then it will look inside the weather control and see what visual states are available. So in this case, I'm going to pick sunny. Repeat that for the cloudy button here. So again, when we're clicked, I want to target my weather control and go to cloudy. Let's run this. So sunny and cloudy. So all the states we've seen for the minute, or rather all the behaviours we've seen have been event-based. But they don't have to be event-based. You can actually do it based on something else. And I'll show you what I mean. In fact, what I really want for this UI is I want a drop-down to select either sunny or cloudy from, rather than two buttons. So I'm going to delete these buttons. I'm going to add a combo box in, just here. I'm going to add just a couple of items. So let's add combo box item. And I'm going to give the first one the content sunny. Let's add one more combo box item. Call that one cloudy. And by default, I'm going to set the selected index this to be 0, so it's sunny by default. Now, when I add the go to state action, I only need to add it to one control. I'm going to drag that onto my combo box here. Now, I guess I could use an event trigger to say when the selection changes, change something about the state. But actually, I've got a kind of a couple of different conditions here. So I want to change this because obviously if the first item selected, I want it to be sunny. If the second item selected, I want it to be cloudy. So I'm going to change the trigger type, and this time I'm going to use a data trigger as opposed to an event trigger. And now I can select something on the screen and say when something equals something, then go to the state. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to use a artboard element picker here to pick the combo box. So when the combo box selected index, so this is the number of the item, is equal to 0, I want this control to go to sunny. Okay, so when the combo box, remember we use this artboard picker to pick the combo box, selected index is equal to 0, we want the weather control to go sunny. Let's add a second behavior on here. Do something very similar, so I'm going to select data trigger again. I'm going to pick the combo box, and this time we want to say when the selected index is equal to 1, so we know that's the cloudy item, we want the weather control to go cloudy. Okay, let's run it. So sunny, obviously by default. Let's go for cloudy, and we can see the clouds coming in. And if I pick sunny, clouds disappear and it becomes sunny, and I can jump between these as much as I need to. And with the data triggers, you can actually look up at any property. So you could imagine a slider control where you want to say when this value on the slider equals a certain amount, then change the state of a control. So yeah, they're very cool, and you can use data triggers in place of event triggers, so definitely worth playing with. Okay, I'm going to show you one more behavior you get with Blend, and this is the mouse drag element behavior. So this is a really cool one that allows you to add some drag drop functionality. So let's add a rectangle onto the screen, and this time I'm just going to drag this behavior straight onto the rectangle and push F5. So now I've added this behavior, what I can do is as soon as I mouse down on the rectangle and start to move my mouse around, we can see the rectangle is dragging with the mouse. Very, very cool. Although one of the limitations that I've currently got, or one of the things that I can currently do, is I can actually drag the rectangle off screen, which means it'd be quite easy to lose. So that's not so great. However, the behavior comes with an additional property that says constrain the dragging to the parent. So make sure the rectangle doesn't leave the grid that it's in. So let's check that and run again. So now when I drag it, I can't take it beyond the edges of my browser, or beyond the edges of the grid. Make the browser slightly larger. We can see that will also still track around. So it's a pretty powerful one, especially if you just want to create something that's quick and interactive, that shows a bit of mouse interaction. It's very, very cool.